Hello everyone, welcome to another session on Big Data Technologies. In this last video of Talend Project, let's learn about child jobs or also known as sub-jobs. We will also learn about functions and variables. We have a lot to cover, let's get started. We have already added a lot of functionality during our earlier videos related to this project. If you haven't seen them, please take a moment to go through them. We are incrementally adding the functionalities. Let's quickly review what we have so far. So THTML parse is parsing the stock Tesla and bringing in the ratings. Cassandra is providing us the previous ratings, and then tjava row is comparing the current rating as well as the previous rating and making a decision of whether the rating has changed or not, in which case it constructs a HTML formatted text and then sends it to a send mail component, which in turn sends the email, and then finally the newly recorded ratings are stored in Cassandra. In this session we will do a couple of enhancements. The first one is we will create a parent job that will provide the stock names to this child job so that this child job follows all these steps for each of the given stocks, and we will also remove this send mail component from here so that we will not end up having multiple emails, but we will have only one email that summarizes the change in ratings. Typically, there will be very few changes. There is no point in sending 10 mails and finding that there is no change in any of those mails. And finally, we will also modularize, or in other words, we will make use of a function to get rid of some of the repeated code that we have in tjava row component. As you can see here, for each row I'm just simply repeating this, and very few things are changing in these statements. First thing, I'll disable the email job component so that it doesn't send me any more emails until I really want it. I'll just deactivate it for now and I'll enable it later. Okay, I noticed that this HTML parse has a hard-coded stock name. Let's replace that with the dynamic variable that is context dot stock. That should take care of it. There are plenty of other parameters that I did not discuss in my earlier video, but things like timeout, how long you want to wait for this page to come up, otherwise it will just time out. Or you can also provide HTTP headers. If the site that you're fetching is going to take a lot of time, you might have to increase the timeout from 3 seconds to something else, but generally these are fine. Okay, henceforth this job will become our child job or sub job, and now we are going to create a parent job that will provide certain parameters, mainly the stock name, and it will do some other things too. So let's create our parent job. Go to job design and create, say, parent stacks. In this job I would like to read the name of the stocks from a flat file. I'll store all my stock codes in a flat file and we will read it. So I'll grab t file input delimited and choose a file that I have, should be in Talend. It's called stocks. And the data we read from this file, let's get that into a variable called stock, which is of string type. Let's just test it out. Yep, we are getting Apple and Tesla now. So we know that data is coming through. We'll get rid of this logger. We will bring our parse which was a job. Now I'm dragging the job itself so it becomes a sub job. Okay, I need to pass these stock names to the sub job. How do I do that? I go to this. Okay, I first connect these two, and on this parse which is our sub job, I go to the component, go to transmit whole context. Let me maximize, and then add the parameters that I would like to send. Okay, stock came there automatically. Let's run this. So it processed two rows, so it clearly means that sending the data as expected. And let's move on to the next part. There are multiple approaches to share the data between parent job and the child jobs. The very first one is what we already saw to some extent, that is passing the variables using context parameters or context variables. The second approach is using some temporary file or flat files in which you can dump some text and text or multiple columns and then access them between the parent job and child job. If you have complex or large structured data, you better off send it to a temporary store such as a database, and it can again be accessed by both subjobs as well as the parent jobs. Depending on the architecture of your project, you can choose whichever method is appropriate. Okay, let's write some functions. So in our tjava row component, we have seen some repeated code. So let's optimize this. So if you see here, these rows are repeated in each one of them. So let's optimize this code. To write any functions or subroutines, we go to our repository and expand the code. Under this we have routines. So right click here and create a new routine. We want to create, let's say, format email. If you want, you can document rest of the purpose, description and other things, author and other things. So I'll just leave it and we expand. It comes with a ready-made hello world, and so as you can see, a class called format email is created, and under that it has a method called hello example here, which basically returns some text. So we will write our own. I'll just replace the whole content with my own function, which is called email format. Sorry, format email. So we have a class called format email, which has format email text method, and it is going to return as a string which will be formatted text, be it improved rating or reduced rating or no rating related change at all. If it is not a change, then it just returns an empty string. So what does it do? It has first parameter as old rating and new rating as the second parameter, and finally type of rating, whether it is value rating, VGM rating, and others. It uses these parameters to construct the same HTML. So we are essentially reducing this repeated lines of code by calling this one. So let's go back to our code. So we go back to tjava, expand it, and go to the very first section which we can replace, paste it. So I have this class dot method name, and then I'm passing the first parameter and second parameter and finally the text related to the variable. That should take care of formatting our text and returning it, and that gets added to context dot email string. We'll do the same thing for rest of the three. As you can see, we have reduced number of lines largely, and it is modular to a very great extent. I'll also make a quick change here. Since we are using context variable to pass the data, I'm going to replace this email text initialization to context.email string, and I'll assign the initial text. That is, I'll make two new lines and bold letters in black, and then say ratings for the stock name and then the font color. I will also change this last line to reflect the context related changes, context variable related changes. So I used this context dot email string. Just let me also make sure that it is added here as a string. One last check if this value is going to be used in the next component appropriately. Yeah, here I should be using row 2 dot. Let's close all these and go back to parent job and run. I just closed and restarted, so backup. Alright, so it went on to the second row, so it looks like it's all working fine. So the next step is to get into this send mail. We will disconnect this send mail and send it from the parent job, wherein we will have consolidated email text and not for each stock. I'll get rid of this send mail and add it to the parent job. Once I get rid of that, let us dump this email text string into a temporary text file. I'll use a tfile output delimited to store my email text string. Now I could have connected these together like this, and then output of this T file output to Cassandra. so that Cassandra gets all the new ratings and stock details, and T file output delimited gets only the email text string. But it is this is also going to write all the rating related information to the text file, and we do not want that. We want it to store only the formatted text that we have written. In order to separate the two outputs, we have to first disconnect these two and use a tmap in between. Let me drag a tmap and connect this output of tjava row to tmap, and go inside the tmap and create an output for Cassandra, and I copy only these columns here, these rating related columns. I create another one for that file. You can name them anything. I'll drag email text here, so only one row is coming here. And now from tmap I take flat file and connect it to file output delimited and Cassandra to Cassandra. Beautiful. Now I also need to set up a few more things here. On this file, I want to give it a name. So let me store it on Talend folder itself. I'll call this as email text.txt. Okay. And most important, append mode, so that for every stock, it keeps appending the text rather than overwriting it. Okay, so our job is looking good. Let's run this from its parent. I just close the parent also and open it once more and run it. Row 3 cannot be resolved to a variable. Okay, let's check. I think it is this Cassandra. Yes, it should be. That should have a row 3 here. Yep. Let's replace this with Cassandra is the name. So, or we could also rename. Let's rename that. It's not gonna work. So let's rename this instead. Let's see if this solves. Just to recap the context variables that are sent back and forth, I do not have any variable defined here, whereas for parsecs I have stock, that is getting a value from row1 dot stock, that is the value that we just read. And inside parsecs I have the variable defined but no value assigned to it. It should be dynamically getting assigned from the value it is reading from the text file. So let's close all this and run it. It has succeeded. Let's verify the file that it is supposed to create. I have email text here. Yes, it does have the appropriate text that we needed. Alright, so our child job looks great, and let's extend our parent job to do some more things. I grab this T file raw so that we can read the file that we just created. I shouldn't be connecting it like this. I should actually be connecting it only when the component is completed processing, meaning that the sub job has done its job and then it should be executed. So you can use on component OK for that, connector for that. I would like to read the file that our sub job created. Go back, Talend, email text, and I want to read it as a string, and I'll create, oh, content is already there. So it is reading the whole file as a string, and it will be available as a variable called content. After reading, let's send an email. And in this, I would change email to Sanjay Kattimani from Zach creating, and I don't want CC or BCC, and instead of Talend studio notification I would say, and instead of message I would say row2 dot text, which has our summarized email text. Also, I need to set up other parameters related to Google. So mail.com and username. If you have your own provider, you can provide all the SMTP related details. That will be perfectly fine. And then I also have to make this HTML format. So let me go and run this. Okay, context cannot be resolved. Okay, let's check what is wrong with the context. Oh, this is not context, it is content. And what is data type? Oh, it's something. Can I change it? I can't change it. So let me convert that to string. Dot to string. Okay, let's run it again. Somewhere. You know what? I'm feeling that it didn't pick up my changes. I'll just clear everything, close the job, and run it again. Many times it solves the problem. See, I told you. Alright, looks like it sent the mail. Let's check the email. There it is. The X rating changes as expected. Let's see. Oh wow, why so many of them? But it looks great though. Apple and Tesla is coming through, but only problem is that it has repeated. That's because we are not clearing the text file. It it just keeps adding to this file but never getting deleted. So let's do that. Okay, let's add our last component and delete. Once this is done, we delete the file. Which file? Email text file. It looks good. So for the first time it will delete the file, and next time onwards it should get only two records because we have listed only two stocks. File should have been deleted. Yes, it is deleted. Go back and rerun the job, and the latest email should have only two records in that, or in other words two stocks in that. Okay, let's check the email. Exactly, it has two records. Excellent. Even after updating the last rating in database, I see that I'm getting the same kind of email. So something is wrong in the calculation of our rating. Let's check it. I'll go into the tjava row where we are computing the, yeah, here. See, I'm using value and value rating in everything. So this should be growth rating, should be momentum, and VGM. Let's also make this job look a little more neat and meaningful. And we'll also give a title to this job. And let's close this and go back and do the same thing on the parent job too. Alright, that looks good. Let's execute it one last time. Before that, let me reset the ratings so that we get some change in ratings. Let's run this. Let's check our email. Ratings. Excellent. Just Tesla. As I expected. Colorful email. Excellent. With this, we achieved the objective of this video as well as the project. So to summarize what all we did in the last 4 sessions, we evolved this project into a full-fledged project which reads a list of stocks and then parses each one of them. It stores the new rating into Cassandra, and if the rating has changed from the last rating, it keeps track of the changes and then finally sends out a nice formatted email with a summary of the changes. I hope you had plenty of things to learn from these videos. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel to continue to learn about big data technologies. Thank you and happy learning.